Hello and welcome to another whiteboard training video. I'm Isaiah Henkel with Cheeky Scientist. Today we're talking about the top 9 job search killing mistakes PhDs make very frequently. These are 9 new mistakes that we're seeing happening right now that are keeping PhDs like you from getting hired. Okay, we're going to return next week to our series on the different types of positions that are available to PhDs, but now we're going to focus on these top 9 mistakes because it doesn't matter what position you want. If you're making these mistakes, you won't be able to get in to a job for that role. Mistake number 1, not knowing where to start. This seems odd for PhDs who are very driven, very analytical, who are able to set goals and achieve them. However, most PhDs, maybe you thought you were going to be a professor, or at least you thought that the academic career path or academia in general was going to take care of your career. Now you know that's not true. Now you know academics are paid very little. Sometimes they're asked to work for free. The salaries of adjunct professors, postdocs, etc. are low. You have to take your career into your own hands, but you don't know what to do now. You don't know what is outside of academia. And it doesn't matter how smart you are or how driven you are, you can't hit a target you don't set. So what do you have to do? You have to figure out what your target is. Don't start with job titles though. What does a job title mean to you? You don't know what that job does. You can learn about different jobs. That's fine. Where you need to start though is what professional lifestyle do you actually want? That's where you start. So if you're feeling like, I don't know where to start in my job search, figure out the professional lifestyle you want. For example, what kind of work-life balance do you want? Do you want to do a lot of writing? Do you want to do something that's numbers heavy? Many of you are in the position you're in right now because you didn't realize what you would do on a day-to-day basis as a postdoc or as a professor. You don't really want to write grants all day. You don't want to teach classes all day. So what do you want to do? Do you want to work with small teams, large teams? Do you want to travel a lot? What's important to you? What is that ideal day or ideal week on the job look like? You must figure this out. Once you know your professional lifestyle, you can fit a job title to that. Simple example, you really like the job title management consulting or medical science liaison, but they have to travel 70% of the time, right? Or they work on these very intensive 6-week projects outside of the country. You can't do that. Maybe you have a family, okay? That's why you have to figure out your professional lifestyle first. Number 2, creating a chronological resume, especially when you do not have any industry experience. Just because in academia you were trained to create a chronological CV, which is, it's almost like a peer-reviewed timeline of your work history, that is not what you need to use for your resume in industry. In fact, it's what you should not use, because I'm guessing you have academic job titles as your work experience, and that's it. Maybe you have something like postdoctoral fellow, graduate research assistant. Guess what? The applicant tracking system software that employers are using are not looking for graduate research assistant as one of their job titles. Employers, hiring managers, recruiters who don't have PhDs, they're not looking for those either. And when they see you have like 3 universities listed in your work experience, they're confused. They just went to 1 university, 1 college. Why do you have 2 or 3? Okay? You need to start making what is called a functional resume, or what I like to call is a relevancy resume, where your job titles are replaced with key transferable skills and technical skills that you have that are relevant for the job. So let's say the job requires project management experience. You put project management experience, underneath it you put gained as a graduate research assistant at XYZ University. It's a simple shift, but it's important. Look up functional resumes. That's what you need to do. Number 3, joining LinkedIn Premium, thinking that this is going to solve all your problems. We just had somebody email us today saying, oh, I joined LinkedIn Premium, I've done everything that I can. Joining LinkedIn Premium does nothing for you, okay? In fact, you should never join LinkedIn Premium until LinkedIn tells you that you need to join LinkedIn Premium. Okay, once you've been messaging so many people and reaching out to so many people that LinkedIn starts to throttle you, LinkedIn will come to you and send you a message saying, hey, you're reaching out to so many people, you're so active on LinkedIn, you now need to join LinkedIn Premium if you want to send even more messages. Okay, don't think that some sort of software program is going to solve your problem, some sort of access to LinkedIn Premium is going to help you. It doesn't. Instead, focus on your LinkedIn profile and putting the right keywords in your LinkedIn profile so you're showing up in the search results in the other LinkedIn that employers are using. It's called LinkedIn Recruiter. The top 3 fields for searching in LinkedIn Recruiter are skills, location, and job titles. Okay, do you have any of those keywords on your LinkedIn profile for the jobs that you want? If you don't, go search for job postings, look at the keywords that are used the most in job postings, the skills that are used the most in those job postings that are related to the jobs that you want, put them in your LinkedIn profile. Okay, nothing is a bigger waste of time than trying to join LinkedIn Premium or do all these special tricks without getting your LinkedIn profile done correctly first so that you actually show up in the search results on LinkedIn Recruiter. And you have a button on LinkedIn. You can Google this. It's called your Recruiter button. You have to turn your button on so that you actually show up in LinkedIn Recruiter. Most of you don't even have your Recruiter button turned on. Google that, make sure it's turned on. Number 5, beating yourself up. Most PhDs fail in their job search before they even start it. They come up with all of these reasons that they can't get a job. Some of those reasons are covered in the next point, number 5. But they beat themselves up. Maybe they get a small rejection. Maybe that rejection is that you've been uploading resumes for several months and you haven't heard anything back. And so you're like, well, I don't think I can get a job now, or the system's rigged, or it doesn't make sense. You come up with all these different reasons and you start to push yourself down. Maybe you try to hide the fact that you're feeling insecure by acting arrogant or by saying, well, you can only really do noble work in academia anyway. This is all just a smokescreen for your insecurity because you're not used to dealing with rejection in the real world yet. Rejection is normal, okay? You're going to get rejected many times during your job search. You're going to put yourself out there and reach out to people and try to set up informational interviews if you're doing it right, and people are going to say no sometimes. You can't be so sheltered, okay? You have to get out of the ivory tower. You have to put yourself out there and not let these rejections phase you. You're going to go all, through multiple rounds of interviews. You're going to get all the way to the end. You're going to think you're going to get a job offer, and then they're not going to offer you a job offer. They're going to give the job to somebody else. That's fine. You just need to increase your threshold of the number of job leads you're going after, which I'm going to talk about later. But stop beating yourself up. It's normal. Don't feel entitled to a job. You're not entitled. You have to go through this process just like everybody else. You're not above the system of getting a job. You're not above the process of your job search. Number 5, making excuses. Again, this is where PhDs lose in their job search before they even started to. They think, oh, I'm an international PhD, I need a visa. It's too hard. It's 10 times as hard for me to get a job than somebody who already has a visa. No, it's not. Lots of PhDs get visas all the time. They get sponsored by companies all the time. Doesn't matter what country you're from, there's a way for you to get a job in the US or any other country you want to work for because other people have done it before. So stop being scared, stop using it as an excuse. Okay, see your visa or the fact that you need one as an advantage. You've left your home country. That shows dedication. It shows that you're all in on the career that you want. Start explaining that to employers instead of acting like you're less than, instead of acting like they're going to hang up on you as soon as you say that you need to be sponsored. There's companies out there sponsoring, you can get hired. Your background, just because you're a computational analytical chemist or your background's in agriculture, whatever it is, your background doesn't matter in industry. It doesn't. In academia, we focus on these niche backgrounds. We make a big deal out of everything because nothing really matters, right? It's totally different. You focus on this little narrow niche field and you think this niche field is so important, but nobody respects that niche field outside of academia. Nobody even knows that niche field exists except for the 5 people that were on your thesis committee. Okay, so going back to the computational analytical chemist example, there's no job titles that would have that same background as the job title. Instead, it would be just chemist at best or scientist, right? Scientist 1, scientist 2. Start thinking like an industry professional, like a hiring manager or recruiter who, again, most don't have PhDs. Stop obsessing over what's important in academia because it's not what's important in industry. Number 6, not knowing how to sell yourself. We got an email about this today too. Somebody saying, I don't know how to sell myself in industry. What that really means is you don't know your own value. If you knew how valuable you were in industry, you'd have no problem selling yourself. But you think that you have no skills. You think that you have no value to offer a company, okay? But you do. You've achieved a lot of results. You haven't just learned about new methodologies and accomplished academic-based job duties. You've achieved a lot, and you have to take ownership of these achievements. For example, you've achieved certain discoveries, which you can quantify. Maybe publications, certainly presentations. You've set up collaborations with other people. You've gotten large projects done. Even if you didn't get the exact piece of data you wanted, you still formulated, planned, executed, managed time, managed budgets, managed projects. All of these things are quantifiable results and make you very valuable. You know how to analyze data. You know how to collect data. You know how to do research. You know how to learn faster than anybody else in the world. speed of learning, all of these skills, you have to communicate them. You're also very good at protocols, methodologies, lesson plans. You know what those are? Systems. Nothing is more important in business than systems. Systems are what allow a business to scale. One of my favorite quotes, just makes it very easy to understand, is that McDonald's didn't become McDonald's because they had the best hamburgers. It's because they had the best system for putting 3 pickles on every hamburger. Systems are very important. As a PhD, you have a lot of experience in systems, aka protocols, methodologies, lesson plans. Number 7, lack of behavioral training. This is my biggest pet peeve. So many PhDs do exactly what I did, and they just learn through books, through reading, even through watching this video, and they're like, okay, I got it. I learned it in here, so it means I know how to do it. And then they show up for an interview, and they give answers to interview questions that they studied online, and they sound like robots. Like the person across from them can tell they're just regurgitating information they memorized. You are very good at learning in your head, in your brain. You live here, okay? But this doesn't help you behaviorally. This is why so many PhDs struggle with networking and interviewing, because that's where they're testing your behaviors, how you interact with other people, okay? The only way to get better at these behaviors is through behavioral practice. It's like when you did a mock thesis defense. That helped you more than any other studying that you did, having that mock thesis defense, because it helped your behavior, your responses to other people asking you tough questions. You have to get access to a network that's going to give you behavioral practice. This is a big part of our Cheeky Scientist Association, our flagship program, that will help you get training that you need, the behavioral training to get hired. If you want to learn more about it, go to phdsgethired.com. Either way, you have to start getting behavioral training. You can't just learn information in your head and think that you're going to be this great networker, or you're going to have a great personality all of a sudden, or people are going to see you at an interview and talk to you and be like, wow, I really like this person. They're not. You're going to come across like a robot or a nerd or arrogant or all these other things that people say about PhDs sometimes. You need to practice behaviorally. Number 8, not checking your thresholds or sample sizes. This one really bothers me too. Thresholds. You probably think right now that you just need to go after one job at a time. And then if you make it to the phone screen or the interview process, if it goes well, you just focus on just that one job lead, because the more you focus on it, the more likely you are to have it go well and achieve it. But then it doesn't work out and you have to start all over again with another job lead. And then you start all over again, and your job search takes you years because of this. The average is 18 months to 2 years for a PhD, because this is how they approach their job search, with a threshold of 1. You can't do that. You need to be going after hundreds of different jobs at the same time. You need to get to the point where you have 3-4 different interviews every single week, so that you eventually get multiple different offers that you can leverage against each other to get a really high job salary. You have to change your thresholds. You're reaching out to 3 people a week. You need to start reaching out to 3 people every hour on LinkedIn or email otherwise. A job search is a job in itself. If you're not committed to it, if you're not ready to go all in, give up. Okay, stay unemployed, stay in your low-paying postdoc. You have to commit to it. And you have to remember your sample size. Be a PhD. So many PhDs are very rigorous in the lab or in the classroom. They always ask about the sample size, the p-values, etc. But then they hear from their friend's cousin that if they leave their PhD off their resume and put their master's degree instead, they're more likely to get hired, because they heard from one person. Or they just heard from a few people online. They don't even know who these people are. They don't know what their credibility is. They're listening to all of this fake news and they think that it's true. But it's not true. Look at the data. Go with the best practices. That's what we do at Cheeky Scientists. We go with the best practices. We're looking at a sample size of tens of thousands of PhDs and what works for them. There's always outliers, right? Any chart, graph you look at any sample of data, there's outliers. But what are the best practices? Don't let fear guide you, okay? Don't say, well, I heard this or I don't want to do this. That's just your insecurity, okay? Focus on the best practices. Focus on the process. You're not above the process. Make sure you're checking your sample sizes and your thresholds, even in your job search. Number 9, finally, forgetting to share examples. When you get far enough along in your job search, you're going to have a phone screen, a video interview, or a site visit with employers. They're going to ask you questions. As a PhD, you're going to give them very short answers, unless you've been trained how to do a better job. You're going to give them answers like, yes, no, or I can do that, I can't do that. You're going to take things very literally. This is not what interviews are about. They're not even going to ask you many questions about your technical skills on an interview. Okay, they're not going to wipe their desk clean and say, okay, set up a Western blot, okay, or program this, or create this knockout mouse. That doesn't happen. They want to test your behavior, your personality, whether you're a good fit in their culture, and they want to hear about your experiences, your stories. They're going to ask you questions, and they want you to use the STAR method or similar. We teach this in the association, where you give them examples of what you've done before or problems you've had before. This is why you're going to get questions like, talk about a time when you had a conflict with one of your past supervisors. What happened? They want you to tell the story about that conflict, what happened, how you achieved a positive result despite a negative situation. What came out of it? How did you come out better off than you were when it started? They want you to tell a story, give examples. Don't just give yes or no answers based on data. Don't just say I can do it or I'll learn how to do it. Come up with examples of times when you've overcome problems in the past. This is crucial to do. If you want to learn more about how to do that, if you want to learn more about the STAR method and everything I'm talking about here, go to PhDsGetHired.com, PhDs, plural, PhDsGetHired.com, enter your name and email, and we'll send you all of our information on your job search so you don't make these 9 job search killing mistakes. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.